This week we're off to Guatemala and our friend Raul Perez and the Perez family and La Soledad. So this week we're off to Guatemala and we're off to La Soledad. Now La Soledad is in the Huehuetenango region of Guatemala and he's owned by Raul Perez and his family that are a pure genius find for somebody like me. Now, how did I find him? Do you remember a few weeks ago, Raul Rodas introduced me to... There's too many Raúls. Raul Rodas introduced me to Beto. Well, he also introduced me to Raul and his family on their farm. And there was a lot of reason why he wanted to introduce me. It was like something he was like, you have to meet these people, Steve. They are just as weird as you are. And it's like, not weird as in like ginger beard and kind of talks to cameras on his own for many hours in the day, but they love to experiment. They are real experimenters. They like to push the boundaries. They like to see what taste can be. Raul is a qualified Q grader, which is a certification in cupping. He's participated in many events. He's a real quality cupper, and he cups everything on the farm, but he also cups these experiments. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Well, this one really did work. So this is a 90-hour fermentation. What is a fermentation? Well, you may remember in the wash processing video we did, we talk about a dry fermentation or a wet fermentation. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go and watch that video now and then come back. Put a link somewhere on the screen there. And this is a dry fermentation, but it's a 90-hour dry fermentation. So it's normally left overnight for it to break down, and then you'll scrub the mucilage off, and then you'll process it and dry it and do all the things with it. But what Raul and the family are doing is that they are dry fermentating it, but with a coil inside to keep it cool. So in this coil, you'll see it on the screen now, it's running cold water through to slow down that dry fermentation. So normally with ambient temperatures, it will be done overnight. This way, it just takes longer for it to break down. It keeps it cooler and draws out that process. And Raul was really interested to see what happened if they did that. And what we're seeing here is in the cup. For me, what it's achieved is more clarity. It's achieved a cleaner cup, and it's definitely different to the normal processed La Soledad that we've seen and we have. It changes that cupping profile because that mucilage is breaking down over a much slower and longer period. So interesting when you start to get into processing, if you start just changing some of those variables, what it can do. And this is one that's had a real impact. For me, Raul is one of those coffee geniuses that thinks outside of the box. One of those coffee geniuses that doesn't think outside the box and actually isn't a coffee genius is Roland and his daft fact of the week. It's time for Roland's daft fact of the week again. Roland, do you have a fact for us?
I do. Did you know that coffee fermentation is really important in flavour? And yeast producers like Lalmond have been experimenting by spiking coffee fermentations with different yeast strains.
Yeast reminds me of beer. So time for coffee, but before that, the Instagram competition. Elviap, probably ruined your Instagram handle there, but lovely photo, really nice. I hope some of you have seen our new packaging for our blends. It's something we've been working on, and really pleased with how they've turned out and look. Had really positive feedback, but if you have any feedback, please feel free to send it through to us at the normal channels. Let's get into the coffee. So let's get into the coffee. So it's chocolatey, but it's not your normal chocolate. I want you to think like a hot mug of cocoa. On top of that, you've got like a little bit of like red apple. I wouldn't say like apple, but more apple skin acidity to it. And really sweet, like beautiful chocolatey mid and aftertaste to it. Really, really lovely. Like, I'm quite surprised at how chocolatey it really is. Thank you for joining me, as always. And do remember, life is too short for bad coffee. I'm a soul dad.
Smashed it.